mystery around our so-called differences, which it's illusionary. My brothers and sisters, the time is upon us. It's 9:59. It's a good number for us to begin, since we are supposed to begin at 10 a.m. and we are mindful of everyone's amazing, beautiful, wonderful, loving schedule. You could be anywhere today apart from here. You could be anywhere on a weekend like this, a beautiful Saturday morning, at least here in so-called the Commonwealth of Virginia, here in Petersburg. It's nice sunshine, nice cool breeze. I feel like I should go out and do some gardening. But today we're going to do a little gardening of the heart. We are going to plow through to hear some beautiful developments that um, the Spirit has been using many of us, and in particular one of us, to help establish some clarity as it relates to our emergence here in this land we call North America. Today's walk and every walk we do on Saturdays as part of the Heavenly Couples in Ministry is a walk that is so dear to my heart and to so many persons who are here as our partners, our co-conveners for Heavenly Couples in Ministry. I'm just going to take a few minutes to express clearly what this forum is all about for our first time persons here, so that you would be well acclimated and assimilated into the beauty of what this platform represents. Number one, this platform is a platform that is seeking to help the world recognize our shared divine identity as brothers and sisters, as one human race. This is the full essence of this platform. Its eternal goal is to make that a reality, to help others receive this beautiful information that we now have and share it with the world, that we are family. Heavenly Couples also in Ministry is about helping persons realize that God created us, the Great Spirit, by whatever name you have been oriented to call the Creator, created us as far as we have come to witness as male and female. And so we call ourselves Heavenly Couples because we are about promoting the joy of the male and female complementary opposites working together as sisters and brothers, number one, and then as husbands and wives, and just working together, understanding our equality, our unique roles, but yet our divine value as equals. And so this is part of what this platform does. And then in the overall, as we've said, is to use this platform to disseminate information that continues to pursue that reality that we are of one lineage, we are of one heritage, we are all spirit beings robed in flesh. And how do we make that practical and pragmatic and worthy of one another's time? We do not just revisit history. Yes, we do revisit history to investigate, and we revisit history not just to please ourselves, what we may think, but we do our best to really leave no stone unturned in searching for this truth that we know would be the game changer, that will really help all of us, the world, move away from chaos, move away from this our dysfunctional reality we are in, and move into the original reality that we are one family. So I want to really welcome all of you today. I'm excited, very excited today. This is our second presentation for this particular topic we're going to be dealing with. This is Heavenly Couples again. This is a true love culture, universal, heavenly family conversations. This conversations is to help us reconnect, particularly today, with our native or indigenous First Nations, North American family. And to help us do that, we have a great brother who joined us the first time last month on January 21st. That's the flyer you see in front of you. He's truly a humble, great giant in this field of archaeology. I'm really seeking to present facts beyond the mainline stream that many times have become dogmatic. So I'm very excited. To help me welcome you formally again, I have several partners always who are so faithful to this wonderful platform. And I want to do justice. I see my great brother, Massimo, Dr. Max. Last Saturday, he presented to us about his life in South Africa. It was quite an eye opener for all of us. Again, moving in the direction of restoration, reconciling, unveiling the not so good to unveil the very good that is really in all of us as spirit beings problems. So I'm very excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So Dr. Max, this is your turn. You see your Zoom representative statement here. I would love you, Dr. Maximo, my great dean, my great brother from another mother, as we share. We are all from the same heavenly Father, as we say, the heavenly parent. Dr. Massimo, are you there, sir?
I am here.
Yes, sir. Welcome, and give us your welcome in a hearty way, and tell the people why this Zoom may be dangerous. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, it is very dangerous because it opens up the eyes of people that are blind. Think about the oppression, whether it's black or white or Native American or any other area in the world. Oppression is upon us wherever we look. And those of you that are not feeling oppression, I challenge you, because if you're not feeling oppression, you are the oppressor. If you're driving along and you're looking at somebody that cuts you off, if it's a white and you're white, or if you're white and it's a black, how is your reaction? And that's oppression. And everywhere we go, we have a bias. Oppression is bias. And we have a bias. Whether you're black on black because of tribal, and Maasaw talked about this last Saturday, and we talked about it before, about tribal in Africa. I know that Bishop Wagas knows about this in the Pakistani area and also in India, but everywhere in the world, the bias creates a type of opposition to another culture. We've got to break that.
Yes, sir.
God didn't create us to be biased. God created us to be faithful. And faithful means male and female black and white, Native American and Scandinavian. And I know that Maasaw is looking at this going, oh God, yeah, here we go. I mean, seriously, the bias has got to break.
Yes, sir.
And if we do that, then peace will come.
Yes, sir.
Peace is not based on obstructionism. Peace is based on love.
Amen. Amen.
You love the color of the skin, their religion, their civil content means absolutely nothing, because love conquers all things.
Woo! Beloved brothers and sisters, that is the note on which we proceed, and we are established love, conquering all things, love, facilitating all things, very good to come our way, not some people's way. These people know our collective way. And so we are here to really do some remedy work, again, to popular systems, popular beliefs. As my brother has said, we are here in love for one another. So I'm not going to delay, because what we would love to do today is to have Brother Maasaw present to us all that he has in store today for us. And if he can finish it today, that's fine. If he can't, but sometime after his presentation or during his presentation, how long it takes, we would want commentaries from several persons who we've already earmarked to make comments. But then we will open up also for any questions and echoing from everyone, since again, we are not here seeking a crowd. We are not seeking to be proud to draw the whole world, but we want to start this, we want to continue unveiling the shroud that is around our confusion, not understanding what Dr. Maximo just shared, that we are of one heritage, we are of God, and God is love by whatever name. So we are delighted and humbled by the grace granted by the merit of the age. I'm going to use my words very, the merit of the age, to unveil, to revisit, to release, to repeal, if necessary, to repent, and to restore together our very good through, though our world family seems to be broken. So we are honored to have the protector of sacred lands. Look at that name. I'm just so humbled by that title, that truth about my brother, the protector of sacred land, Maasaw Howard. You know, Maasaw Howard is an independent American Indian field researcher who locates and protects early Native American burial, ceremonial, and occupation sites throughout North America. He is a published author of multiple books and an instructor of American Indian burial practices at Shepherd University. He also is a public speaker, no doubt. That's why he's here publicly educating the public about American India or First Nations history. My beloved brothers and sisters, we welcome you again to the Naked Truth Project, the apocalypse of religion, the apocalypse of true culture, this universal conversation that we pray would help us release some very good things into the world. Brothers and sisters, without further ado, let us receive our great brother, the protector of sacred land, Brother Maasaw Howard. Welcome, Brother Howard.
Good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me back again. And just bear with me here. I'm trying to, I'm not used to this whole, there we go. I think, are you able to see the screen okay?
Yes, we see American Indian archaeological sites and find and research conducted by Brother Maasaw Howard. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, good. All right. Again, my apologies. I'm far from tech savvy, and but hopefully you'll be able to follow along I'm really honored to be able to present my research because this ties in directly with the concept that Father Bayo is really brought to light so well about, even though we're on different continents and different time periods of the world, we all share so many commonalities. And it's through greed and racism and through many other things that when one culture meets another, that a bias forms, a jealousy forms, wanting what they have, taking what they have by force. So many things result from that. And what I'm trying to do today is just kind of show you over the last 20 to 30,000 years what American Indians have created here in the form of ceremonial and burial sites and villages and other things like petroglyphs and rock art and pictographs. So I'll try to keep it short. Normally this is like a 30-minute presentation at Shepherd University, but I'll try to abbreviate it a little bit and just kind of go over my findings with you. So, and at the end, as Father Bayo said, if anyone has questions about the research or something you saw, I'm happy to respond. So, without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. Just quickly about myself, I am both Cherokee and Tuscarora as far as Native American heritage, and I've been researching since 2016. I've published multiple books, as Father Bayo said, and I do speaking engagements at archaeological conventions to archaeologists and anthropologists, present my findings. So I also get involved in quite a few civil rights cases here in the East Coast. I'm involved in 3 that involve both African American cemeteries and Native American. So I'm often called on as an expert in burial practices for Native Americans and African Americans to help further litigate against those who wish to destroy the burial sites of our ancestors.
Wow, Maasaw, that's very, sorry I interject here. That's very good to know. I didn't see that in that you are involved with cases as an expert witness. That's very good to know. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's a high honor, and I don't care what culture that was here before. I just know that these are sacred sites, whether they're African American or Native American, it doesn't matter to me. That they are sites that need to be protected. And as everyone knows, money speaks loudly in what they call progress. And they have no problem bulldozing over a full cemetery to put up a row of townhouses. So we must fight against that. But here I have listed some of my archaeological sites. I actually have 26 to date, ranging from Canada all the way down the East Coast down to Virginia. And these are some of the ones that I have now. So I'm not going to run through all of them, but just to give you an idea of basically, I do travel a good bit is what I'm kind of showing here. Some of the individual sites that I have, for example, Bear Spirit Mountain is, I guess you call it my signature site because it was the first site that got me involved into American Indian research. This site was dated by archaeologist Jack Rudnicki, who passed away a couple years ago, but he specializes in Native American history. He dated it to between 15 and 30,000 years old. This site has hundreds of rock mound burials. It has an earthen burial mound, 9 serpent walls, dozens of ceremonial structures, and over 100 rock art images in petroglyph and pictograph form. The site is actually 5 miles long. This site was in continuous use by Native Americans for over 12,000 years. And it's among the oldest and largest sites in the Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
Some of the structures that we have at this particular site are ceremonial structures, as you see there in the top left. That's a Shawnee elder woman who's praying and touching that particular ceremonial structure there. We have serpent walls. And serpent walls are basically, they look like boundary walls, except they have a head. They have either a triangular head or an oval head, that creates the image of a snake. That's not something early European settlers cared about or ever practiced. So that's definitely Native American. And then, of course, hundreds of rock art images, as you see there in the top right. There's 4 examples of human faces, actually. Some of them over 15 feet tall. Actually, some of them are over 20 to 30 feet tall. Also at this site, there are hundreds of rock mound burials. There are altars, sandstone that was carved into V-shaped channels to create altars. And then there's an earthen mound site there that's over 206 feet long. It's 40 feet tall and 60 feet wide. And what's interesting is most earthen mounds are made from soil. This was on the top of a craggy mountain where there's not a lot of soil. So they first had to quarry sandstone, break it down into small pieces to carry into a basket, and then one basket at a time create this 206-foot long burial mound. It's estimated 52,000 tons of material were used to create that earthen mound. It faces northeast to southwest, which are the solstice directions. And again, it measures just over 200 feet long. It dates back to the Hopewell period, between 1,500 and 3,000 years ago. I have used geophysical testing. In this particular case, I used electric resistivity testing. I have also used ground penetrating radar to confirm its man-made origins, its depth, consistency, etc. So as a researcher, I don't say, Father Bio, just believe me. Okay, so I try to incorporate science in everything I can without disturbing. That's the most important thing, is we do not dig. We do not disturb these sites. So when funding allows, we do bring in these scientific tools.
Okay.
There's also a set of niche stones in the northeast section, which is basically a spiritual portal, where the ancestors, it was believed that they could enter our world and return to theirs.
Wow. Before you go further, just because we have one of our participants here, and I live close to a city named Hopewell. What is the Hopewell period? If you don't, just a little talk on that. The Hopewell period. Why is it called a Hopewell period? I live in a city close to Hopewell.
Is the last period in what scientists have given names to different time periods. It dates back from around 500 years ago to roughly 3,000 years ago. There's also subsections of that called the Adena or the Mound Builders. All of those are incorporated into the Hopewell. And you have the early Hopewell period and the late Hopewell period. And prior to that, you have the Archaic, and then the Paleo, and then the Pleistocene, which lasted over 2 million years. So basically, it's the name of the time period given to these particular people throughout North American history.
Thank you.
There's also nine of these serpent walls that I found. I mentioned earlier, it's basically a man-made stacked wall, sort of like a boundary wall, but as you see in the drawing here, this particular one has a triangular head. That signifies a venomous snake, like a rattlesnake. It served as a warning to other Native Americans that this is sacred ground, don't mess with it. But a lot of times these serpent walls also serve as solstice direction markers. They could also have petroglyphs or pictographs incorporated into them. And this particular one is straight. It's not in a serpentine manner, because a lot of Native Americans were excellent astronomers, and they saw comets as sky serpents. And many times they tried to emulate a comet by recreating it on the ground. So in this particular case, with the triangular head, I've seen quite a few other serpent walls with oval shaped heads as well. But this particular serpent wall is part of the ceremonial site. It's 92 yards long. Where the head connects to the body is a particular standing stone, and it has multiple petroglyphs carved into it, We used electric resistivity testing. We found a subgrade cavity where toward the end of the serpent's body was a small chamber once existed. And that's where we believe the medicine man or woman would enter the snake to pray for the souls of the ancestors. As you see, the head was constructed in a triangular shape. And in front of the serpent, and unseen in this particular photo, there is a oval pile of stones that shape, which some researchers say is the egg, some people say it's the sun, an effigy of the sun or an effigy of the egg. And again, we have 9 total serpent walls that I found on this particular mountain. What you're seeing here in the photos are typical rock mound burials. I classify rock mound burials into 2 types, ceremonial and necessity. Ceremonial is basically if someone were to die near the village, they would have a planned funeral, have a ceremony, just like we do today, no difference. You would get a proper send-off. Let's say you're 8 or 9 miles from the village and tragedy strikes and they're unable to bring your body back to the village site. Well, I call that necessity. So they bury you where you fell out of necessity. So they're unplanned and hastily built, often not as well constructed as a ceremonial. And there's 2 types that I've come to find in over 26 sites in the Northeast United States, and they're called pyramidal and tower. The older mounds were built to look like a pyramid. And over time, those rocks have splayed out because of ice, wind, rain, erosion, gravity, etc. And then the newer mounds within the last 2,000 years, they've become to look more vertical, more compact, and definitely beautifully stacked. And they have a style of stacking that I call feathering. Much like a bird feather overlaps one another, so do these. So yeah, the pyramidal mounds are much older and in triangular shape, whereas the tower mounds are compact. And they, around 2,000-3,000 years ago, that's when there was a change in how they were constructed. You also have on these sites ceremonial circles where stones were intentionally arranged into the shape of a circle. Ceremonial circles are typically built as part of a ceremonial burial complex. And a lot of time, animal and human head effigies are created and used as part of these outliner stones to create the outline of the circle. And here we have some beautiful images of different animals that were created to actually form the circle. In this particular site, there are 4 ceremonial circles. And you're not going to recognize some of these animals. For example, to the left here where I'm circling is a female American lion. Again, that's an animal that went extinct 12,000 years ago. It was 400 pounds larger than today's African lion.
Wow.
And it stood 5 feet tall at the shoulder. That's the image of a female American lion face. Next to it here is a giant sloth, another animal that went extinct 12,000 years ago, that when it stood on its hind legs, it was 15 feet tall.
Wow.
Here we have a short-faced bear, and that's an animal that went extinct 12,000 years ago during the Younger Dryas event. And this is a beautifully carved sandstone that the base of it is actually flat. So at one time, this stone was standing upright, looking into the center of the circle. And the same with the warrior face here. You can see the base of it's also flat, and it was also standing upright, much like an Easter Island head is today. But unfortunately, over time, they've fallen down. We also have ceremonial structures. They can be square or oval in shape. They can be up to 7. I've seen them higher, 8 feet tall sometimes, and up to 16 feet wide. And some of these structures marked an important event or an important accomplishment by a tribal member. And you'll see those usually near burial grounds or village sites just outside of a village site. This particular site right here, the Gall site, is in Virginia, and as you can see on the left here, look how beautifully stacked those stones are. Everything is conformed so well, and this particular rock cairn here is actually close to 7 feet tall. And then the structure on the other side, which is square, again, you know, this is also a ceremonial structure, and these are typically next to burials at this particular site.
So the one on the left, is that what you call feathering? The one?
No, this is actually just what I call clean stacking.
Clean stacking.
Here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 levels of cleanly stacked stone showing its height. And actually, right here is an altar where I'm circling with the arrow here, where they would have put tobacco or tribute to the ancestors in that burial ground.
So that's not an example of feathering. It's not an example of feathering.
Yes. Here's another example of, but these are actually burial mounds. These are not ceremonial structures.
Okay.
And these are amazingly intact. This particular site is probably about 12 to 1,500 years old. But I found over 30 of these rock-bound burials at the top of this mountain here near Shenandoah National Park. The Jarrettstown site, we have another serpent wall. This one's over 150 yards long. It's massive. It's unbelievable. And actually, at this site, I found 6 other serpent walls nearby. It's 8 feet wide and 4 feet tall. You see how beautifully it's stacked. This site is probably about 1,500 years old. And then to the right here, this particular serpent is actually looking at this particular effigy here of what I call an egg effigy. You heard me mention earlier about the serpent and the egg.
Yes.
Well, here we have it repeated at a different site and other sites throughout the Northeast. For example, the Serpent Mound in Ohio, supposedly the serpent is about to swallow the egg. So here you see it created again at a different site, actually multiple different sites. And at this particular site, I found 4 or 5 rock art images, as well as 13 burials. But I also know at one time this area was heavily agricultured for apple orchards. So many of those structures have been damaged very severely. At this particular site here on the left, Sleepy Creek, you see these concentric stones that were wrapped into a circle. You have several layers of circle stones here, and in the center is a single standing stone. And that standing stone is facing to the summer solstice direction. And this site here overlooks what we call the Tuscarora Highway, which was a north-south highway from Pennsylvania down to Virginia. And this is a particular worship site that the indigenous people could stop at, sort of an outdoor church, if you will. I call it a rest stop. So, and then off to the right here, you see this beautiful petroglyph of this angry man's face. Whoever carved that was not happy that day. So, but that's at another site called Capon Springs, about 40 miles from the Sleepy Creek. Now, a lot of times I incorporate drones into my surveying when applicable. In this particular case, at the Cool Spring Farm site, to the left here, I have a split photo, top photo being the original, bottom photo being edited. And you can see from 80 feet up high, using a drone, the outlines in the ground of circles. And you can even see lodge post holes where they had put lodge posts for many different reasons. Here's a row of them right here, for example. So this large structure right here would have been the central wigwam, and then there would have been smaller wigwams around it and other structures as well. Near this particular site, I found another village site using a drone, and these are artifacts that you see here to the right that are Indian tools or Indian arrowheads. And one of the arrowheads I found there, I didn't recognize immediately. After researching it, it dates back 8,000 years old.
Wow.
So there's lots of natural springs in this area. There's lots of moose and elk and deer and other animals to hunt. So you can see why there are multiple occupation sites and artifacts were easy to find. The short mountain sites in Virginia, to the left here is a beautiful petroglyph of a jumping deer. Again, the top photo is the original photo, and then down here's the edited below it. Very beautiful photo. A lot of Native American art is in abstract form. That's something people have to keep in mind, because if a lot of people who aren't educated will look at it and say, well, I don't see a perfect eye, or I don't see a perfect nose, or it's not 100% proportional. Well, it wasn't intended to be. And for their needs, it didn't need it to be, or need to be. So also at this site is a very badly damaged serpent wall here that is just below. Actually, at this site, I found over 30 rock art images. And this is very close to the Shenandoah River, by the way, about 2 miles away. At the Veteran Lake site, you can see on the left here, this carving in this cliff. This is over 20 feet tall that the American Indians carved this Indian man's face into it. And you can see it's been damaged. There's some break off here, natural erosion, break off, but there's still plenty of it where you can clearly see nostrils and a mouth and lips and eyes and a forehead and even a hairline at the top. So this is a very beautiful carving of an Indian man's face. And then right next to it, 50 feet away or so, is this outcrop here of this stone that looks like somebody took a knife and just sliced right down the front of it. Reality is that's black quartzite. And black quartzite is a very, very valuable stone because it's even harder than flint or chert. And the Indians have been harvesting piece by piece from this particular rock face here for thousands of years. So this is a quarry site. And when I took my trowel and actually scraped down into the soil just below it, I found dozens of discarded and broken tools and arrowheads where they were trying to construct all of these materials, and sometimes they didn't turn out right. At this particular site, it's in Ontario, in Canada, and on this particular lake, there in the center of the lake is this big, beautiful mound that you see here, and that is a burial mound. It's over 150 feet long, 50 feet wide, and 22 feet tall. And near this, I found to the right here multiple petroglyphs of water birds, and also you see the human man's face here. And that's what we describe as a watcher. A watcher was a human face carved in the stone, and then the medicine person would instill a protector spirit. And that protector spirit's job was to watch over the tribal people as they go by there in canoes looking for furs or fishing or whatever their need was. The Yamasee site here, we just recently found this just a few weeks ago. And Yamasee means buffalo, by the way, in Cherokee.
Okay.
But this particular site had over 30 stone burials, as you see here in the center. This particular center stone mound was roughly about 3 feet tall and about 12 feet wide. To the left here, you see the serpentine image here is a serpent effigy that they would create the serpent on the ground. Excuse me. And again, that served as a warning to other people coming by that this is sacred ground, so don't mess with it. And then the photo to the right here, you see these large stones here again, stacked in a circular shape. They didn't roll off the top of that mountain and create a circle. So somebody arranged them into this circular fashion, and that became their ceremonial circle. I also mentioned that we found lots of rock art petroglyphs, outline glyphs, and pictographs. Here I've just got a couple examples. Me on the left here, this entire boulder was carved into the image of a snake in a raised position. You can actually see one eye where I'm circling here, and then over by my hand is a second eye. You see the V-shaped head, and then the belly of the serpent right here. We call him the guardian serpent because he's overlooking. He's on a higher elevation, looking down on dozens of burials. So he's protecting that particular site. Just a half a mile away, we actually have an image. Well, first off, this rock was carved into an altar. This area right here I'm circling is actually a flat area, and that was carved from a round stone. And then what looks to be like a seat back, a chair back, right behind it, is a woolly mammoth, a full-bodied woolly mammoth petroglyph. And again, that's an animal that went extinct 12,000 years ago. And lastly, on the right side there, you're looking at a bison, a buffalo face there carved into those rocks. Here we have a few more. In the top left there, you see carved into that rock wall, multiple petroglyphs. You got two serpent heads, and the one with the blue outline, actually you can't really see very well. I apologize, but there's actually a little mouse inside of his mouth. And that's very unusual to see that. And then next to it is a larger serpent head. There's also smaller carvings of a horse head and a bear face. The center photo, the one I call Smiling Man, because you can actually see the teeth there at the bottom.
Yes.
Smiling Man is actually 15 feet tall. That entire rock face was carved into the image of this smiling man. Now he sits up on a cliff overlooking a footpath that the American Indians would have taken as they walked to the ceremonial site. So he's looking down on them. And sadly, the left side of his face has had some natural break off, some damage, and a few of his teeth are missing. But overall, you can get the idea there. Seeing the bottom teeth there. And each one of those is individually carved into that particular boulder. The top right photo there, again, I mentioned the Watcher. This is at a different site, and this particular Watcher is overlooking the effigy of a turtle. And the turtle, along with the bison, are very sacred animals to the Native American culture. So that's pretty much the end of that. And as far as just giving you a taste of, what I do, my research at all these sites is lifelong. It's ongoing. There's always more yet to be found. And I'm very blessed to be chosen by my ancestors to know how to find their eyes. And sometimes I say this and people roll their eyes, but I truly can see through my ancestors' eyes. That's how I find their sites. They bring me to these sites. They want me to tell their story and remind the world of their amazing lives, that they lived, loved, and died just as we will. And that my mission is that they're not forgotten and that their sites are protected. So that's all I have, Father Bio.
Oh, that's more than you'll sound like so literal. If you unshare your screen so that we can call in others to participate in this wonderful presentation and see how we can echo or ask you questions. Can you unshare your screen, sir? Thank you again. Let us all thank Brother Maasaw for that wonderful in-depth presentation of his great work, and it's ongoing. Again, the academia schools would not let you know that people have been in this great land we call America for thousands and thousands of years. and we would feel like, somebody said they discovered America, but there were people here doing great work beyond symbolism. So I want to open up for us. There are certain things I heard, which I want to just a little bit highlight. Um, Dr. Larry, welcome. It's so good to have you with us today, Dr. Brown. When we look at this findings, and not just because Brother Maasaw is sharing them, but those of us who are archaeological buffs or history buffs, lives buffs, period, wanting to search for the truth, we see that the serpent has a very special place in our story, in the human story. Um, not just the Native Americans. Again, those of us who are Christians, we see it very presented front and center in the Bible. From the very first pages of the Bible, we hear about the serpent. And we hear Jesus talking about we need to be wise like serpents. Even before Jesus talks about being wise like a snake, God asks Moses, in terms of healing, to create a statue, a symbol of a serpent, of a snake, that when they gaze upon it, they were healed. Amazing. Did you ever think about that? And then now to not just in North America, as if you follow this, if you are inquisitive, as we all should be, we find the serpent representation in almost all indigenous cultures. Um, and somehow we either fear it or revere it, or we want to kill it. so, so anyway, thank you, Brother Maasaw. Your work is so exciting. I would love to be on a field trip with you. I enjoy seeing the result, but I would love, and we are looking forward to that buffalo trip. So let me open. I've said enough, at least a little bit. I want to welcome Nada Diab. Thank you for joining us. First time. Is that Nada, a guest of my brother Maasaw? Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Maybe you have anything you would like to share, or just question or echo. Let's start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, I was really happy when I met Matthew and Ingrid. It was just like a, like just like connection that I just can't explain. So I wanted to read his book because I am a faculty at Howard University, an adjunct faculty.
Yes.
And because I'm biracial, when I met Matthew, it was just so much to talk about that I needed more time. So I got back in touch with them. I think it took me a whole month or something. So I had to make time, and it was just, it was exactly what I felt when I first met both of them. And so I'm hoping that we would be together for this whole lifetime. Work together, yeah. So I can't wait to. I was also asking because my daughter is Cherokee and African American. I'm not native, but I'm a native from somewhere else. But I'm a native mother in the U.S.
Yes, you are.
So I wanted to know. I'm also looking forward to field trips, and something that our children could do in the East Coast, because I don't think we have enough centers for them to learn culture in a lot of ways. So yeah, so I'm definitely honored. I'm so glad. I wasn't teaching today. We have spring break, so luckily I was able to be part of the Zoom link. Nice to meet you all. Yeah.
We are truly honored to have you with us. It is truly a blessed honor. The connections will continue because we are here of like mind, like heart. Again, to not overemphasize, but to really emphasize how we help make our great human race recognize that we are each other's keeper, and our history.
Absolutely.
You are in academia, the challenges you face.
Oh yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. Yeah, I'm telling
So
you, it's always being born biracial is just enough.
Yes, that alone it's unfortunate. So this is what this is all about, my dear sister, and we look forward to how we can help fulfill your. It's not your vision alone; it's a vision for many persons. How to help our children, not just our children, adults, people, period. Field trips, like traveling, is the best educator for all of us. And so going on those, so we are looking at, by God's grace, sometime this year, we call it a buffalo. He calls it a buffalo nickel tour, but we're calling it a buffalo quarter tour because it's going to take it some resources to make such a trip happen, and we're going to be looking for, especially if we involve the younger, the children, we would need to finance them. So that's something we really would love to work on, Mrs. Diab.
Yeah, no, not as good.
Nada,
Good.
we would love to work on that. Thank you for joining us, and this will be the last time again. Brother Maasaw, thank you for extending that invitation to our sister and to others who joined us. Thank you. So Nada has shared her desire. Maybe there's somebody else. Brother Bruce Clark, welcome all the way from Connecticut. What's our First Nations people like where you are? I hope this was a bit enlightening to you. Can you give us any feedback?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. Yeah, a little different from what we often do, and I appreciated that, the intellectual stimulation. Yeah, in Connecticut we have actually a really wonderful Native American museum, a Pequot museum. Pequot people had a lot of presence here, and it's worth going to see if you're in the area around the London Mystic. On the property, the Pequots have properties there, and run a couple. There's a couple of casinos in northeastern Connecticut.
You call them the Pequot? You say Pequot?
Pequot, Pequot.
Okay.
And there's also a Mohegan presence in Connecticut.
Mohicans.
Yeah. Well, the name of our state, of course, is Connecticut, is derived from the Native American. And that's the river that runs through Connecticut, was applied to the whole state and adopted by the white settlers when they arrived. Yeah, I really appreciated the research. I think, it's beautiful the way Maasaw was able to convey how at the end there, I didn't realize so much, but how his ancestors and Native peoples have sort of led him spiritually to these places.
Yeah.
I'm not Native American, but I think all people can be open to that kind of presence in their lives. I certainly have gone back and found the site of one of my earliest ancestors, white ancestors, in the Kentucky area, and that was through. It was a combination, probably like Maasaw, some science and some healing, and finding where a settlement was that an ancestor had built, and bringing a spiritual presence to that site and praying for that person. And I did take a stone from the air from the place as a kind of token for my own remembrance. So thank you so much. Appreciated it.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Pastor, for your great heart and for connecting to the truth that our ancestors are all around us, are spirits, and we pray we can really connect and do justice, build upon their great, because they did some good things and great things. When I think about, the mounds, Dr. Maasaw, look at the big mounds down in South America, these buildings that we can't even today build. And just thank you. Because one of our sisters, our co-convener, Bishop Patra, we want to give you an opportunity to at least share. Bishop Patra, what do you think about the snakes again? I just want you to share anything on your heart. But as a bishop, we're hearing of snakes, and there's snake all over the place, and there's snake all over the Bible. And God wants us to be wise like serpent. Let's hear some commentary from our great sister, Bishop Patra Role, are you there? Okay, I think she muted.
Yes, I'm fine, but I'm just enjoying and listening, and let me just do that. But thank you, Matthew, Mr. Matthew, for that, very broad. I'm just hearing stuff, some of it for the first time, so it's very intriguing. So let me just keep watching.
Amen. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I wonder, Brother Matthew, if when we were looking at those some of the statues, um, something came to my mind, which is the image of Mount Rushmore. I wonder if the early settlers got that idea from running into. I know there are statues everywhere. You can look in, Egypt, but and currently there's also a statue of is it who Crazy Horse that was carved, and it just looks like one of those statues you showed us, those watchers you call them. Any comments on that?
Well, every culture going back many, many, many thousands of years, you can go to just about anywhere in the world and find rock art. It starts out in very small form, maybe 4 or 5 inches wide, a couple inches tall. But for example, we have a carving at the Bear Spirit Mountain site that's the entire cliff, 75 feet wide, 35 feet tall, was carved into the image of a crouching lioness. That dates back over 12,000 years ago.
Wow.
So my point is, every culture, you can go to the African continent, European, Asian, it doesn't matter. We all are creative. And
Yes.
I can't draw a stick figure correctly, but there are people out there that are just, I'm just so jealous of their talents, and in a good way. I admire them.
Yes.
That are so artistic, and every culture has had that. So they basically taken, what started out just in very small form of painting a man or a lizard or a serpent, and transformed it into Crazy Horse or Mount Rushmore. But you can look all over the world and see every culture has an example of something like that.
It's interesting. That is so true. And I received a good way to look at them these days in terms of watchers, the way you presented the Native American statues that were placed on strategic locations along the river or trading posts. I found that to be quite interesting as landmarkers, we would say these days, but beyond landmarkers, endowing it with some spiritual power that this statue watches over us. You get there, most times you do something, you rub it, you say thank you, it's really amazing. Anyway, brothers and sisters, this is part of as some of you said, this is not our usual, but what is usual has to become unusual in a way. We are used to, again, doing things a certain way in academia, in religion, in coming together. And somehow the way we are used to has not allowed us to really deal with the core issue of our identity as brothers and sisters, which is so important, our identity. And this is what I've been charged with, is to help us. If it's true archaeology, yes, let's all be archaeological buffs, please. Investigate where you are. Let nobody tell you that the earth is only 4,000 years old, as some religions would say. They have a date for the beginning of the world. I share these things joyfully, graciously, and we're going to have more platforms like this that dig deeper as we look forward to the field trips. Remember one of the things Brother Maasaw shared with us, the 2 types of mound, the pyramidal look more older than the tower mound. But I just wanted to show on the pyramids again. Everywhere, in every continent, there are pyramids. It's amazing. And if we say, um, the world is this young, how did the population, how did people be? I mean, it's not going to take um, only 10,000 people to build the type of structures we're talking about. It takes a lot of manpower, a lot of resources. So this earth must have been really populated at one time beyond what some of our scriptures tell us. And it is high time religion and science get together as twins. Amen. They are twins, brother Maasaw. We have found that out. They are twins, like two sides of the same coin. A coin has two sides, and this is what we are seeking to bring together here, under the leadership, inspiration of, yes, the one we call True Father, who inspired me when he stated that religion and science are searching for truth in the dark. They are both searching for truth in the dark. So I want all of us to be encouraged. Mrs. Bayo, anything you like to share before I open? Mrs. DiCarlo, Dr. DiCarlo is here. My First Nation sister. Dr. Emily DiCarlo, are you where you can share? I know you've been busy this morning. Okay. Let us go now to Pakistan. Bishop Wagas, anything you like to share for the good of the order? Any question? Thank you for allowing this be a global outreach work today as we receive good research findings from our great brother.
Thank you very much. Today, very beautiful sharing, Brother Matthew, and special working in India. So may God bless Brother Matthew and his family and work. We are with you. May all of you. May God bless. Thank you.
Bless you more, Bishop. Bless you. Bless you. I am Dr. Max Rollet. I can only imagine the archaeological findings that can be found in Pakistan, India, the Indus Valley civilization. There's so much rich history, rich culture that area initiated to the world. So we may have to up the Buffalo, from the Buffalo Quarter Tour to the Buffalo Dollar Tour, so that we can fly to Park. Thank you, Bishop, for always being here to support. I wanted anyone who... Go ahead, Mrs. Bayo. Yes.
My brother Matthew, if you could, it was interesting to see you say the sacred ceremonial side, the older type of mount. If you could, can you share how their culture, like doing such a side?
How their the ceremonial practices, you would like?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So how would they have used it? Is that your question?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes, the culture, yes, significance.
Excellent question. A lot of times you'll find burial grounds will not have ceremonial sites. A lot of times burial grounds were placed above a village site to overlook the ancestors, overlooking the descendants and protecting them. But when you get to these larger sites like Bear Spirit Mountain, ceremonial sites were included because it was such a large site. And again, it's over 5 miles long.
Mm.
And I have found 6 individual cemetery sites at this particular mountain, but only 1 ceremonial site. This ceremonial site would have been used by different people from different time periods. It wasn't the same people that came there over 12,000 years ago and stayed there. No, they were very transitory people. And because of that, one group would have started this and then left for whatever reason. Another group would have come in maybe 1,000 years later, saw the burials, and identified it as sacred ground. So they continued the practice. However, they would continue to use the same ceremonial circle, the original ceremonial circle. And it would be used for different things. Of course, the number one thing you think of is death. So in the American Indian culture, basically they would have actually celebrated in these ceremonial circles, and the medicine man or medicine woman would have its own individual circle where only he or she could worship. And next to it would be a portal of some kind where the ancestors could join the medicine man or medicine woman as that person worships and celebrates that person that died, and celebrates their life, basically, and prays to the Creator that that person in the next life will have an easy life, in the next world. The other circles were typically left for the tribal members, and they could go in there, and there would be drumming, and there would be shells, and there would be rattling, and they would be dancing and celebrating. And they would also, before they went to war, they would enter these circles and pray for victory and pray for safety. So just like we do today, a modern church it actually got its basis from our ancestors who used outdoor ceremonial circles.
Exactly.
That eventually was moved indoors into a building.
Exactly.
But the same purpose that we use a church today, or a mosque, or a temple, would have been the same thing that they used, except they did it outdoors.
Yes. Mrs. Bayer, does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yes. I like the beautiful truth, the fact that it is so true that ceremonial sites, before we even had the modern day word for church, has always been, and most times has always been outdoors. Um, and so it is just a wonderful thing that most other conquerors or religious persons or other persons who come to in the name of a conqueror, they build upon ceremonial sites many times. So many churches, great cathedrals, even the Vatican is built upon a ceremonial site of other much earlier brothers and sisters who revered that site as a place of worship. And so that's very important that even though people come as conquerors, they still understand the value of a ceremonial site. And many times a new religion would build, like what's happening in the Middle East right now is conquerors, for example, the Islamic religion build upon the Judaic religion, and then the Christians want to, and then sometimes that causes conflict. But it shows that the value, whichever way we look, it still shows that, man, this is a place. There's something here. There's power here, and the way we may go about it sometimes may not be with respect to the former persons, but in a way still respecting that, oh, there's something in this place. So thank you again. I don't want to delay the point. Sister Dr. Wilhelmina Ford, I want to acknowledge your presence all the way from Florida. You promised to join us today. It's so good to have you with us. Dr. Ford, are you there?
Yes, I am here, Father Bayo. Sorry I tuned in so late. I lost track of time, but I'm glad to be here.
Bless you, bless you. Well, you would have the opportunity to watch the broadcast. We're going to make it available to others so that you can get the beautiful presentation that we all receive. Thank you for joining us all the way from Florida. Let's have any response.
Everyone.
Oh, bless you, Doctor. Before we close at 11:15, I want you all to make a small announcement. At the last Saturday of this month, the 24th, the voice you just hear, Dr. Wilhelmina, and others who you hear from now, Dr. DiCarlo, will be featuring her and other sisters as part of our enterprising women of faith, building a heavenly world. History must tell her story. So we are looking forward, Dr. Wilhelmina, to honor your great work, and also to honor my sister Emily DiCarlo. Emily DiCarlo, give us 1 minute. Reflect on what you heard. You've been here with us for a while.
I really just got here. Good morning, Father.
Good
Love
morning.
to
Good
you and
morning.
to everyone. I just got here. I had my Wi-Fi box. I have a new box, and so I had to figure it out. My regular Wi-Fi on my phone would not work, but now I'm here.
Amen.
And I'm thankful to be here. I give honor and greetings to each of you, and it is such a treasure to be among people who not only honor God, but honor the divinity in others.
Hallelujah. Thank you. That's it. That's it in a nutshell right there. Dr. Larry Brown, thank you again, Dr. Emily DiCarlo. We're looking forward to the 24th and great things. Dr. Larry Brown, good morning, beloved co-convener. I hope all is well.
Glad to be here. I enjoyed the information on this morning from Dr. Howard. Good research, good information. I'm just glad to be here. He said one thing about a book. I couldn't catch it. If you have a book, I sure would like the name of it so I can order it.
Dr. Matthew, can you put the name of your book in the chat, in the general chat, and a link if you can?
I think you put a link already, haven't you, Father Bayo?
You can still put it on the chat if you have, or just put the name. Let people know, and I will resend it out.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm glad to buy it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Larry Brown is one of our conveners here, and we thank God for his great work here in Virginia, in the Dinwiddie area, helping bring us together to understand our true identity as brothers and sisters. Thank you, Dr. Larry, for your time today. I think we have, for the good of the order, you all are very busy leaders wherever you are. Brothers and sisters are looking up to you. Dr. Nanji will close us out in prayer with a few remarks of our own. Dr. Nanji is one of our co-conveners, weekly co-convener with the Heavenly Oasis, Apocalypse of Religion, Apocalypse of Culture. Sister Nanji, let's hear from you.
Hey, good morning, covenant people of God. Thank you, Dr. Maasaw Howard, for that good presentation. Oh, my little question I just want to ask is that when you're on those mountains and digging sometimes and, just doing your work spiritually, how do you feel? Do you like go in trance, or sometimes when you come to just speaking tongues, or is there anything that after any nightmare or feeling? I know because some people will just, Father Bayo said earlier, some people will rub something when they're going to Lord protect me. I just want to get that feeling in you spiritually or individually, how you feel in doing this work. Because it's not a little work, it's a good work in the realm.
That's a question for you, Dr. Matthew. Go ahead, sir. Share with us how you feel. What goes through you when you're doing this great work on the mountains?
Well, when I first discovered some of these artifacts or these sites, I'm a soldier. I fought in Afghanistan, but I am not afraid to tell you I cried. Because when I come across something and I lived it, and I'm the first human that's touched it in 8,000 years, that's an amazing feeling, and it just touches me deeply. But I really feel, and I'm also not ashamed to admit, it wasn't until about 8 years ago that I ignored the Native American heritage side of my life. Because of discrimination, and you didn't say you were Cherokee, as I mentioned last time, in the 80s, because you would be mocked, you would be ridiculed, but I'm not ashamed to say that anymore, because now I don't care what people say or think about that, but it's an amazing calling that I was given 8 years ago to do this, because I often question why me? I'm just an average guy, who just works and comes home and takes care of his family. But it's a tremendous honor. It's a tremendous calling to be able to find, locate, and then protect these ancient places because, as I said earlier, those people lived, loved, and died, and they don't want to be forgotten, just like we don't want to be forgotten. So it's a deeply spiritual thing for me that I get to go out into these mountains and these valleys and these rivers and find these locations, and it's completely transformed my life. I mean, I'm not gonna. That it's definitely changed my life 100% in a much better way.
Thank you, Sister Margaret, for that question, and thank you for sharing the impact of this work on your life. Truly, we pray everything we all do impact our lives for the better, for the good, and for the greater good of the community of the world. Again, I'm so humbled. I really am so humbled, but yet so grateful for this artistic connection that um, we have been called to, charged to. You may not, unbeknownst to all of us, um, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, I didn't know I was going to meet such beautiful people. So the more we keep the beauty of our work um, centered on really trying to bring answers, solution to questions, and also questioning, which is very important. We are not a political forum. However, we must address reality that's going on. We have to be awakened. People say the woke culture. I don't know what they mean by that, but I want to be enlightened. I want to know who exactly I am. I want to know history, if it has led us correctly, because it is clear that people who do not know their history are like a tree without roots. You're going to be fruitless. So we must know our history. Where we need to correct it, we correct it together. Um, our history is told with brutal facts and beautiful facts. They are mixed up. That's all of us. So we are so grateful that we've been charged with this. It's not a small work. It's a work many, we say many are called to, but in a way, few, few. That's why we have a few brothers like Maasaw and his wonderful wife Ingrid, um, pairing up, doing this great work together. So, brothers and sisters, I'm encouraged. Be encouraged wherever you are. Continue to echo good. When you see the live broadcast on Facebook, share it with others and encourage others. When we put our promotional flyer out, do as Maasaw did. Do as all of you have done. Invite others. Again, we're not just seeking a crowd for crowd's sake. We want to really help one another. And that's why I like it. The few who can come together and share, ask your questions, echo, so that we live more enlightened, more awakened, more awakened with truth. So, again, be wise as serpents. This I leave you with as a priest, as a African American Catholic priest. Let me jump on that and finish with this. Be wise as serpents. Don't be afraid of a snake. A snake is not your enemy. A snake has never been our enemy. No animal has ever been our enemy. No. Do not follow the symbolism representation that makes you think that God caused the snake, that we should kill the snake. No, that's why it is clear. The image of the snake is what saved Israel in the wilderness. So let us do our best to bring that. And so the last, not the last, but Brother Maasaw will give us the last word. He talked something about the comments. Now I see why there are some serpents in a straight line like an arrow. Our ancient brothers and sisters thought that was a sky snake pass piercing through. And there are many cultures who have, because when a comment comes through, many cultures see it, and you would see they try to depict it. So a sky snake flying through the sky. brings with it a message. We say omens, something is going to happen. They read it as the Bible tells us we should look to the stars. God says, I've given it to you to help guide you for the times. So we are so grateful for our ancient brothers and sisters. They knew a lot, Brother Maasaw. They knew a lot. And we are just finding out how we tap into them and continue their beautiful work of recognizing the earth as Mother Earth. This is Women's History Month. And yes, thank you, Brother Maasaw. Please give me your last word, Brother Maasaw. This is Women's History Month, and the greatest woman is the Mother Earth that begat all of us. And we thank God for Mother Earth and for men like Brother Maasaw, who is doing his best to preserve the beauty and the dignity of what Mother Earth has given to us through our ancient brothers and sisters. Brother Maasaw, you have the last word for today.
Well, I'm deeply honored to be given this opportunity to show you in tangible form how amazing our ancestors were and are. And through rocks and through rock art and other forms, it's still with us. And they're still walking with us, trying to guide us if we just put our own egos aside and allow them. And I'm just deeply honored that you allowed me to show these wonderful people in tangible form. It's wonderful to talk about spirituality and religion, but when you see the tangibility of these sites, it brings it home in a different way. So thank you for that opportunity, Father Vaya.
Thank you. Thank you. You are the one to be thanked. Let's show our love for Brother Maasaw. And we pray God will continue to finance your research. The Buffalo Nickel Tour, we upgrade it to the Buffalo Quarter Tour and maybe a Buffalo Dollar Tour when we fly to Indonesia. I'm going to leave all of you with this as my wife ends. I'm going to leave you with, and you can leave when you want. This is, we've got to build our love on one foundation. We've got to build our love on one foundation. We're building our love on one foundation. I'm building my love on one foundation. We are one in the Spirit. We are one in the Lord. We are one in Spirit. We are one in the Lord. By our love, and they'll know we're God's children by our love. By Matters love, hey, by Maasaw love, and they'll know we're God's children by our love. Matters love, Another's love, hey, Margaret's love, Ayano's love, and they'll know we're God's children by our love. By your love, Role, by your love, Margaret, by your love, Bishop Waters, and they'll know we're God's children by our love. We bless God for the love of God in all of us. Please continue. Tomorrow is Sunday. Wherever you gather, bring love and bring questions. Don't. Yeah, if you have anything in your heart, be in a place where they can allow you ask questions. Be in a place where they can allow you echo when someone says something true and helpful. Be in a place where people welcome your voice to share. We love you. God has welcomed all of us. We are in love with God. God is in love with us. Have a great day. See all of you later. Namaste. 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 Brother Clark, namaste. Welcome, Nada Diab. I will be calling you soon. I'm so excited. Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord. Bye, guys. Bye. I don't want to leave you, but But your spirit is always with me, so have a great day.
And love forever.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Have a great day, dear Millie.
Your smile are contagious.